SeizedYourBusiness.com podcast with Tony Rourke and Kevin O'Flaherty.
SeizedYourBusiness.com, making you money. Share it on Facebook, share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, our blogs, YouTube videos. Listen to our podcast, getting so hot that it's burning up the stereo.
Welcome to the SeizedYourBusiness.com podcast. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. I'm joined today by my radio partner, E.J. Johnson of Liliana Properties.
Hello.
And our guest today is Don Krause of the Midwest Group. Our topic is going to be exit strategies for your business. So thanks for being here with us today, Don.
Thanks for inviting me and being part of the show.
So, Don, tell us about what you do and a little bit about your business experience.
My business experience has mostly been in marketing and sales and advertising. And in 2008, with the downturn, I had to reinvent myself and got involved with business brokerage. A lot of businesses at that time were going up for sale. They weren't making a lot of profit at the time, so there was a lot of bad news to be delivered. But things have steadied out right now, so everything we have for sale in the books is profitable. To meet a lot of nice people, and I get to use my marketing skills and sales skills that I've learned over the years.
You were telling me it's a good time to buy, right? Because there's a lot of inventory out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of inventory right now. We finally felt the effect of the baby boomers. All these people now that are retiring and that they have these businesses that they've started. They have a lot of entrepreneurial skills feeling back then. So there's a lot of building businesses that are coming up for sale right now.
Okay.
Good businesses, a variety, everything from graphics companies to auto repair, small, large, and they're all in profitable state, and they're all in a situation with fresh blood would help them grow, fresh ideas.
So tell me, for someone who hasn't used a business broker before, what's the process like? If someone signs up with Midwest Group, what should they expect?
Well, nobody signs up with us, so to speak. Typically we get somebody looking to sell their business, an inquiry over the website or a phone call. We'll call and introduce ourselves, ask some information, ask them to fill out a couple of forms that will help us. It's all based on how much money you're making and what capital equipment you have involved. Then we do a business valuation on what we feel the business will sell for. And we do a process then. If they decide to go with us, we sell for a percentage of the sale. There's no upfront fees. And if they decide to go with us, sign the agreement, then we start marketing it in a nondescript way. So nobody knows O'Flaherty Law is for sale. There's a law firm in Westmont that's for sale. And then we'll get inquiries. And the people that we need to be serious, we filter them out and get them to sign a non-disclosure agreement. And then we start showing them the more details on the business, where it is, where the financials are. And if it becomes even more serious from there, then we'll introduce them to the owner and see if we can strike a deal.
Mm-hmm. How long does a business typically, once they hire you to do that marketing, what's your average turnaround time? The
industry average is 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
But we've had some on the books for over a year. So that's why there's averages. It all depends on what's going on in the market right now and coming up with the right buyer and how aggressive the seller wants to be.
And how does that actually work as far as the seller? Do he come up with the money up front, or does he go to a bank, or
a combination? Which most popular right now. There's a lot of people that are losing their jobs right now. Yeah. Downsizing. Once you get 40 anymore, you really don't have much.
Yeah, you don't have much left.
Security. So you need to look around. So you can take that 401k and invest it in a company, your company. So instead of investing in Apple,
you invest in yourself, just like you would do like a home. You do the same thing.
You can't do a 401k into a home, but you can do it into a business.
Yeah.
Into a home, you'd have to pay penalties. For early withdrawal.
Also, no penalties on this.
No penalties. There's a setup fee.
Okay.
But you get your choice. And, you go into business to make money, so it should be a good investment.
It should be an investment, yeah, because it's already profitable.
It's already profitable. You have a ways of looking at it, and you can take advantage of the situation. I have a graphics company right now that the gentleman's father is blind, or going blind, I should say. He's in blind.
Okay.
He's in his late 80s. He lives in Prescott, Arizona, in the mountains, and he continues to drive. and I'm going to continue to drive until you come out here. So we have that business up for sale. Typically, we'd list it for about $150,000. We have it for $80,000 because he has to move to help his father.
Okay.
So how many of these do you normally handle per like year?
A
range anyway.
We currently have about 100 businesses for sale.
Oh wow. Okay.
On the books right now, and they range everything from $50,000 up to $1.5 million.
Okay.
Sale price.
What are some of the things if people and this might tie right into the exit strategies topic, but if I'm thinking, I know in 3 to 5 years I want to sell my business. What are some of the things as a business owner that I should be doing to prepare it to be sellable?
When you look at it, you need to determine your exit strategy now.
Yeah, why don't you dive into that a little bit?
Even if it's 10 years from now, you need to do it really up front. Let me tell you a quick story about my wife. We met Kathy, I believe. She said, what are you talking about? I said, well, exit strategies. Exit strategies. Why don't you talk about something positive?
Hey, for the guy exiting the business, that is positive.
Well, that's the way we look at it. But how do you want to go out? I brought some notes in terms of the different ways of going out. But one is bleed the company dry. If you've been reinvesting in the company all along, putting efforts in marketing and retooling, and you stop doing that, and you just bleed the company dry and write big proper checks for yourself.
Okay.
At the end of the day, your business is not worth much because you haven't reinvested enough. You might be able to sell it, but
sounds probably just bleeding something dry never sounds like a good strategy. Is that something that you recommend sometimes?
Doesn't do any good for me as a business broker, but certain situations it does. If it looks like it's something that's really not going to sell,
probably be the easiest way to get the customer.
Look at it too is if you could get an extra $100,000 out a year for 4 years, and you can sell the business for $200,000. Yeah, it's not a bad strategy.
Sure.
So that's how you have to look at those numbers.
And would that be something that you would tell one of your somebody came to you with that scenario? That would be something that you would say? Probably can't help you.
Probably can't help you with it. We can get you 200 now, and if the accountant looks at it and says, well, we can make this much out of it for the next few years, and it'll be more than what you can sell it for now.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's surprising to me because you'd think in that situation, if a company is strong enough for you to bleed dry like that, you'd think you'd be able to just put good leadership in place, and rather than bleeding it dry, you kind of pay yourself to do nothing and do a slow burn over 10 years rather than 4.
You look at it, but if you don't dissolve yourself from that company, you have liabilities, and you get to the age where you just don't want to do it anymore.
You don't want to deal with it anymore.
You don't. Yeah. That's the problem. So it's I don't recommend it very often, but it is a liquidation. Got one that might be happening now just because
pretty much selling everything, getting rid of everything.
The equipment in the company is worth some money. There's not a lot of value right now in terms of what it's selling in that, and it might end up being a liquidation sale.
Is that something you help people with? Basically, rather than selling the goodwill of the company, just selling all the assets to a competitor?
Yeah, I would help set that up. It's obviously I don't make much money doing that, but we're out here for the long haul.
Sure.
So if I can help somebody through a situation, then they'll remember me and
give you that referral.
We work with some people that buy. A lot of our businesses are restaurants, so we work with equipment people on that. We know the people that will be interested in buying used equipment, and have a market for it, know what to do with it. So in those instances, we call them. Once again, it's really not a preferred method, but we're in one right now where it might end up being that way, though.
So it's not.
The equipment is well. We got the business up for sale for $80,000, and some things that came up. I thought we had a buyer, but the equipment itself is worth almost $90,000.
Oh, so you go to different competitors. You wouldn't just put the sign out saying liquidation sale, right?
No.
Big liquidation sale.
No, everything we do is non-discreet as possible. Because you don't want the customers to know. You don't want employees to know.
Very true.
that the business is up for sale because the business could start plummeting. You could be losing employees. They got to find a new job. They're going out of business. So we try to be.
It's surprising that you'd ever have a situation that the business is up for sale for less than the market value of the equipment. There's got to be something in the business that's over and above that value.
Yeah, there is some,
huh?
but it's really not it's not self-sustaining for somebody to make enough money to make a living off of it.
Okay.
On top of it, and it's this happens to be in a market that's just become very over right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people got into it a few years ago, and the stronger ones will survive.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Natural selection.
Sometimes I feel like the bearer of bad news, and I haven't made that liquidation phone call yet because they just found out Sunday.
Would you like to announce it on our podcast to your client?
Yeah. No, and I'm like,
client, watch this video.
Yeah, we can't
give me a call if you have any questions.
Yeah. Another method might be selling to a friendly buyer.
Okay.
30, 40 years ago, it was pretty common to the son or daughter to take over a business. Yeah. And then in the 80s, that really stopped working.
Really?
Yeah.
Kids were not working the business. They would run it down.
Oh, so they
didn't have to. It seemed like they didn't earn.
So they would bleed it dry, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, those, being in business for myself for almost 5 years now, those first 5 years, they kind of forge you into the business owner that you need to be.
Yeah.
If I was given a, $600,000 revenue company in year one, that company would probably not be around anymore.
Right.
So starting with nothing allows you to kind of learn.
Think about you have a daughter. Or son,
a daughter and son.
Daughter and son.
Right. Yeah. So 25 years from now,
you give it to them, and then they bleed it out.
Right. And then things, like, oh, Dad, I know we said we'd make the payment, but it's a little tough this month.
Yeah.
And
I did that to my dad when I was in college.
Some of you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's it could be and like maybe the chef. I've always wanted to own a restaurant, but it doesn't mean they can run a business. If they're a good chef, you can't have a good restaurant without a good cook. But if you don't have somebody out front that's making sure it all runs and that there's the meat's there, the drinks are there, the servers are there, it's cleaned properly, it's marketed properly. That doesn't mean they can do it, but so
practicing law was way easier and less stressful than running a legal business. I'll tell you that. It's totally different skill set.
Yeah. What do you think about just the you're all lawyers in your firm, but everybody has their own expertise and their own way of doing things. We're all created differently.
Yeah.
We all have different personalities, so that's the stuff you need to deal with. Plus, the personal things and that happen in life, like life's tragedies go on. Life must go on. The business must go on. So, but what you've done by multiplying yourself is you've increased the size of the firm and your earning potential. So
sure. And my headaches.
And your constant headaches.
Yeah. But with a one-person firm, you lose a client or two, it could hurt.
Yeah, well, and with a one person, as we've grown, the losing an employee becomes less painful because there's the next guy. You get a deeper bench. You never want to. You never want turnover. You want to keep employees forever. But there was genuine fear when I first started, and I had 1 or 2 employees. What if my office manager leaves? I still, Samantha, if you're listening, I'm still deathly afraid of that. But it's not business ending.
You know what I always tell people though is to look at those as opportunities. That business manager leaves. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
It might be a time to reorganize slightly and look for somebody with a different skill set that's better at web and Facebook marketing. Where when you hired her, that wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, you're right. Every time we've lost somebody and replaced them, the business has grown stronger because the business was in a better place to hire, a better person for that.
And you had more vision of where the business was going.
Yeah, trained them better, had better systems in place. So it is an opportunity. Kind of like the way, getting hit by a truck is an opportunity to
To get hit by a truck.
but on some level, you're right. You can make the business stronger.
Yeah. Well, you have to. You're faced with it, so that's the way I like to look at it. I present to people that are down when they get hit with things like that. It's like, that's a great opportunity to restructure and improve.
Well, it is, yeah.
To give yourself,
you're not looking at it like, oh, maybe I got to do that interview.
and you can give yourself 10 to 12 more hours worth of work. That's what you can do.
Yeah, for a while.
For a little while until you find somebody right.
Somebody else, yeah.
So when we talk about the friendly sale exit strategy, when I think of exit strategy, this is often, aside from just getting your business ready to sell to a third party, this is what I think of. I've got, I own a bar. My daughter's working in the bar. She's been the manager for a couple years now, but she doesn't have enough money to buy me out.
Right.
Any suggestions for someone in that? Because I've actually had a client in that scenario.
Yeah.
Where he wants to retire now. Maybe if he thought about it, 10 years ago, they could have worked out a compensation package.
Yes. Seller financing is something that, I need to talk to you about it and some other people, because it's also becoming more necessary to do it legally and properly. For this guy's daughter to be legally bound to having to pay that, not just I'll take care of you, Daddy, type thing, and to structure it properly like a loan. That's really kind of a difficult thing right now, seller financing in the market. And also that once again, he's got the liability. If she gets caught selling to a minor, his name's still on the business,
Yeah.
Well, you could, somebody, there's.
You get around that, but then he's got less control. So you would, if he wants to ease out of the business and give her control, but keep his name on the title, then he's still got the liability. What we see a lot of people doing, especially with third parties, is doing the seller financing, where they sell the business. They've got a financing agreement, and then the business is the collateral to go back in and, take the business back over if they miss a payment. The danger there is, what if the guy runs the business into the ground? Then you don't maintain any control over it.
It's a tough situation, and to me it seems like it should be easier, but once you start playing out the scenarios that could happen.
Well, that's why you say, start planning for your exit strategy now, because if I've got a key employee or a family member that I know, 15 years down the road, I'm going to want to get out. Say I'm 50 and I want to get out at 65. You start at 50, paying that person less paycheck to paycheck and compensating them with a greater share of the ownership until eventually they've taken over the ownership with their sweat equity.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing too, because that person's got to work for less money at first, but if the business is profitable, they'll get a share of the profits along the way.
Yeah, and you can do it in the form of a stock option buyout that where they become part of the.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, this is when you incorporate, you have shares of stock in your company, and then typically, if you're a sole proprietor, you own 100% of the shares. So you could do stock offerings within the company without going to Wall Street, et cetera, and start structured properly, legally, but start offering shares out to employee buyout. And that's another option too, as employee. It doesn't just have to be one person. There could be a couple people that get together to buy the company. But then you're transferring stock, and correct me if I'm wrong, but once you transfer the stock, then the liabilities transfer with that stock transfer.
Sure. But if it's a corporation and everything's set up properly and you haven't signed any personal guarantees, then everyone's liability is limited to the corporate assets. So nobody's going to be personally liable for anything except for their own personal negligence. So that's the whole reason that you incorporate.
That's true. But I don't know. There's always ways around things, it seems like.
Well, if you incorporate, and not to make this a commercial for hiring a lawyer, but if you incorporate on LegalZoom and you don't set up the corporation properly, or if you don't keep good books and records, or if the corporation's not funded enough where basically the court decides it's a fraud upon creditors, it's basically just a shield to hide you from your creditors, then the court will do something called piercing the corporate veil, where they basically, think of a lance going through the corporation right into the heart of the owner of the corporation. That's piercing the corporate veil, saying, this is a sham corporation. You registered online on the Secretary of State's website, but you never got bylaws done. You never had director meeting minutes. You haven't been doing annual meetings.
Right.
You haven't been following the corporate formalities that are required. But if you do everything that you're supposed to do and you work with an attorney, there's my commercial. If you work with an attorney, the case law is pretty solid that the corporation should hold up. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to be personally negligent, so if I am working the bar that night and I serve a drink to a minor, and they get into a DUI or what have you, then I'm going to be on the hook for my own personal negligence. But if it's one of my bartenders, then the corporation folds up, and if you don't have proper insurance.
Yeah, or coverage. Well, once again, it's just planning that out properly. But those employee buyouts and that, they're sticky. They're not really that easy to execute that we've seen.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of clients that have come to us to try to get those done, and I'd say about half the time that before they even get to us, we'll have the initial meeting and say, here's what we're thinking about. Can you give us some ideas? And we'll give them some ideas to take home as homework to think about how they want to structure this thing. And almost all the time, we call and follow up. Hey, how's that going? You ready to do this? And oh yeah, it fell through.
Yeah.
It's because someone's got to give up something in the present. The owner of the business has to give up his baby over time, and the employee has to give up their part of their paycheck in the present. And everyone's got to put a lot of faith in each other, and it's it is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it's not a. And I think it's a good thing that they go through that process and find out this is not the way to go.
Yeah.
But if I got to trust you and I really feel like I can't trust you, then that's everybody's got to give. Put skin in the game, so to speak. And there's not a lot of trust with that then.
And you've got to be really creative in the way you structure it. There's phantom stock or profit sharing agreements that vest over time.
Yeah.
Where you can say, okay, over time you're going to get less in your paycheck. You're going to get this profit sharing agreement, but if you leave the company in the next 5 years, that you don't own stock until it vests later on. So you can be really creative with that.
I kind of get there's I think it's Prudential commercial where they put all the sticky notes up. What happened in the past? Yellow is good and blue is bad, or one or the other. Everything that happened in the past is like an equal mix. In the future, they're like all yellow.
Right.
Because our view of that in the future, and that's what happens when you get in something. Somebody gets ill or something. Whatever happens in those things that can happen that you don't think about going into it.
Very true. You got the foresight of the future, but you don't. You can't really perceive it at that time.
No.
Well, if you asked 2011 Kevin O'Flaherty, I'd be driving a much nicer car by 2015.
I think everybody feels the same way.
No, it's but you know what? It's a land of opportunity, no matter what.
Oh yes.
Well, yeah, that's the nice thing about being a business owner is you got nobody to blame but yourself, and you can go out and make your own way. And EJ is one of the hardest working guys I know. He's hustling day and night, three different things going at any
3 or 4
time.
different jobs, and it's a different hat for everything. But the way I see it is, I can't see the future, but I'm gonna try my best to carve my own path in it, and get to where I want to be. And I'm like Kevin. I wish I had a nicer car.
Yeah. Before I get to acquisition, I just kind of threw this one in there. Another way to exit is an IPO.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that'd be nice. Does that stand for initial public offering?
I wrote these notes on it. That was kind of cute. IPOs are sexy, they're flashy, and get all the press. So do lottery winners. Your chances are better with the lottery.
Wow.
There are millions and millions of small businesses, and 7,000 are public. So.
Yeah, I don't think the O'Flaherty Law initial public offering is going to be on CNBC anytime soon.
Not soon.
Not right up there with Alibaba or Facebook.
So acquisition, to me, for small business ownership is really the way to go. And it's setting yourself up properly. And a lot of things, it's like just doing business right, you know. You could sell to another business, another law firm. You could sell to an employee even, but it's an acquisition. It's not a friendly thing. They're going through a third party. They're going through me. You could sell it to somebody who's leaving another law firm and just thinking about starting their own thing. Just using your law firm as since you're sitting here, but what you need to do is a lot about what you're talking about with incorporating. Have your financials up to date, clear processes and procedures, an active marketing program, and then keeping this up on an ongoing basis. Have an active marketing plan going. Have that Facebook and social media. I'm too old for that. No, you need to get involved in it with your company.
And so you need basically a handbook like you get with your car. When you buy your car, here's how the car runs.
Mm-hmm.
You need a handbook for your business. Here's how, Scott Mathis, who's hosted the podcast with us several times, used to own jewelry stores, and he had a handbook, and he said, my mom should be able to come in and take this handbook and run my business for a day.
That's what you want to do.
Does that actually kind of factor into the price, or whether it gets sold or not? What
the processes and procedures, yeah, it doesn't always affect the price, but the saleability.
So it's not how much you sell it for. It's if you don't have that, no one's going to want to buy it anyway.
But indirectly, though, if you have good process procedures and you're keeping up with your marketing plan, and you're keeping relevant, your business is going to be good.
Yeah.
But I'm 65. I want to get out. So I don't want to just start this when I'm 64 and a half.
Yeah, sure. You started when you're like 50.
Or when you start the business. When you turn 60, your exit strategy should start when you start your business. I want to get out of authority when I'm 65, let's say. That should be your goal. That should be part of your business plan. And you should be looking at that every year. What do I need to do that? And you need to just be keeping relevant, keeping your process going. Because as we get older, and we've done pretty good. I got some money in the bank. Made some good investments. If the firm's doing okay, it'll if you don't keep on it, it'll tend to run itself down.
Sure, you're not coming in every morning, checking your records, writing people, making sure that everything gets done.
Starting that new process, that new thing that comes out, it changes so quick these days. So if you're not doing that, but you're gonna be not only short selling yourself, but or getting managers in place, or you need to keep these processes up. You need to keep reinvesting in your company. And then when you're 65, when you get to 63, that's when you really start. Okay, now let's anchor down. Let's talk to a broker, because I don't want to be in a big rush to sell this thing. I want to be out when I'm 65. I'll take a couple of years.
Sure.
Right buyer.
Well, you were saying earlier offline that when the inventory is up like this and it's harder to get a quick turnaround, people who would normally be able to sell their business for let's say $100,000 lower it to 70 real quick.
Yeah.
Because they're in a rush and they need to get out.
Right. Either that or the market's flooded, right?
Right. In certain things it is flooded.
Yeah. Saturated. Yeah. Like so much going on.
But a good, well-run business is so much easier to sell. It shows as soon as you walk in to show the business.
Yeah.
And they'll try to beat you down on price by, I looked on Biz by Sell and it's doing kind of similar numbers and it's lower price, and what's it look like inside there? How long they've been in business? They've been running profitable for 15 years? Well, I'm not sure. Well, these are things that we look at when we value the business to sell it.
Sure. And that's why, have you ever heard of the E-Myth? I talk about it on this podcast all the
time. Yes and no. Remind me, I have heard of it, but I can't.
It's a Michael Gerber book, and this podcast could basically be a commercial for the E-Myth, because it's the one that it's the number one on my business philosophy books that I've that has stuck with me. It's even when you're just starting your business, you should be working on your business, not in your business, and try to extract yourself from the business layer by layer as quickly as you can. And if you can get to the point where all you're doing is, basically doing high-level, C-level functions, monitoring, key employees, you got your 4-hour work week where you're just reviewing reports and getting a paycheck. Then if you want, then you might not want to sell the business because it's easy. But if you do want to, it's all prepackaged, and you just kind of show somebody how to run it.
And then that's when you do want to sell it. I mean, because you have built a legacy. There is pride in that.
Yeah.
You put a lot of sweat equity into it, aside from your own cash and that, to get it up to that point, and there's some pride in it. So you want to do some other things, maybe whatever that might be. I've seen people get out of business and they'll get into another one. And a friend was a sales rep. When he hit 70, he sold that business, and he quadrupled his money in oil or gold. And then he went to oil or whatever it was. He did it again. He just got into another,
jumped right into the next thing and made more
in what he saw. And so he started leveraging his money and doing that and getting involved in it. So once you sell your business, doesn't mean you have to go play shuffleboard all day.
Sure.
You can still stay active and do other things, even if it's helping young business owners, donating your time, starting out, and giving them some direction. To me, the acquisition is the best way to go out of all we looked at. But I can see where any of these could work for a certain situation.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to share about?
No. I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be on. It was fun talking with you, learning more.
Thank you for being here. And how can someone reach you if they want to buy or sell a business?
Probably use my phone, 630-235-6303. My name's Don, D-O-N, last name Krause, K-R-A-U-S-E. And it's dkrause at themidwestgrp.com, themidwestgroup.com, but GRP short for group.
And Don and I have worked together in the past, and you can just tell he really cares about his clients. So if anyone's thinking about someone to go with, I think Don is a great choice. And we actually met at a small business workshop of mine that you came to. So you never know who you'll meet at those things.
Well, let's put a plug in. I'll be at the next one on the 20th, isn't it?
Yeah, October 20th. Don will be doing a seminar with me, small business workshop at Ballydoyle in downtown Downers Grove, 7 p.m. So
it's going to be entrance and exit.
Yeah, we'll have about 5 speakers, and they'll talk about all aspects of business. And nice thing is it's in a bar, so everyone's having some beers. And sometimes those go late and end up at the speakeasy here.
That was the first time Kevin and I had met, and I enjoyed the group he put together, and the way he does business, and. EJ, right?
EJ.
I gotta know more about EJ, but he seems to be like a upright young man right now, and
I call it more like a Trojan horse. It's okay though. Hard working person, but it's good.
Yeah, no, all that elbow grease. You've done a great job for yourself despite your face, EJ.
I love it. It's awesome.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Don.
We'll see you.
Thanks so much for listening.
All right.
Have a good one.